Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today as I set up my bullet journal for August. So as usual, we'll do a little flip through of last month. So July's theme was a Skazoo theme, and they are the avatars for the K-pop band Stray Kids. So I was just showing my trackers, works pretty well, pretty up and down, as usual. I enjoyed the weekly spreads and the Dutch doors. I think they worked really well with the stickers. And overall, had a great time using the theme, and everything was pretty functional. So I'm just showing you a few of the items I'm going to be using in this setup. So the theme this month is a Art Nouveau Alphonse Mucha style theme, like an appreciation setup, I would say. So I've had this Art Nouveau, almost William Morris style wide washi tape for quite a while, a few years. I have it in a few colours, so I thought I'd use the green this month because it matches with the Mucha PET tape that I will be using. So I'm just popping 2 columns, a column down each side of the spread. This is one of the good things about using this square notebook by Tiefosi, is that you do have a lot of space, so you can use these wide types of washi that would take up a lot more room in an A5. And you probably just noticed that I accidentally turned 2 pages, so I am going ahead and doing the same thing on this spread as well. So this is going to be my calendar spread, and I've got my 2 columns down, and I'm just going to mark out the calendar, and I'm using my Jinhao retractable fountain pen, which I got from AliExpress. There will be an AliExpress haul coming next week, an unboxing, so you'll see the pen in action there. And the pen is inked up with the Book of Botany ink by Ferris Wheel Press. I do have a £20, or it might be a $25 discount link in the description. If you want to order anything from Ferris Wheel Press, you'll get that off your first order. And I do really enjoy Ferris Wheel Press for their inks. They do a lot of shimmer inks, and they have a pretty good reward system, so you can accrue quite a lot of points fairly easily, and they do have like free inks and other bits and pieces that you can get with the rewards, so it works out quite well. So here I am, still marking out the lines for my calendar, and I'm just using my ruler, but I've turned it upside down, so there's a little bit of a beveled edge that's underneath the ruler, and that's stopping any kind of smearing with the fountain pen ink. I found this was a better way of using the ruler. And because this month is a little bit awkward, it's got that extra Monday at the end of the month, I've just carried it on at the front, the top of the calendar. Here's the ink I was using, the Book of Botany by Ferris Wheel Press. And it's really nice, kind of earthy green tone ink. So I'm just setting my stamps for the August header. And this is a stamp set. I've used it a few times. This is from Hobbycraft in the UK. I can't remember if I found an alternative. I'll have to have a look, but I'll post a link down in the description for the same stamp set. And if I can't find the same stamp set, then I'll find you something very, very similar. And because I wanted this stamped in gold to echo the tape that I'm going to be using, I'm using my Pilot Choose gold gel pen just to ink in that stamp. And I didn't get a great impression here because I've got a lot going on now in the journal. All those Dutch doors with the stickers weren't doing me any favours for the impression. I should have put something under the page. So I'm just going over and picking out some of the details with that gold gel pen. These gel pens are pretty much available all over, but I got mine from under the rowan trees. And I'm just going to use my brand new green mild liner just to highlight a line at the top of each of these boxes, and that's where I'm going to be putting the date. This mild liner was from the set of, I think it's 5, a set of 5, and yeah, I can't remember if I got them from AliExpress or from Stationery Pal. I think I got them from Stationery Pal, but again, they'll all be linked down below. So this PET tape I did get from AliExpress, and I knew that I wanted to use it as soon as possible, and August seemed like a good month to do it because of the green and the warm tones. It fell quite in with kind of, well, it's supposed to be the end of our summer, but you wouldn't know that at the moment because it's still very, very hot. We're still getting lots of heat waves. So I've just cut out some of the elements from that tape, and I'm creating a little collage using my stamp set, which was from AliExpress, just to add a little bit of extra colour. So I've cut these Alphonse style girls out and popped them down just to bookmark each page, finishing off with some little corner stickers. All these are taken from that PET tape, and I'm using these dual chain kind of garland sticker sheets that I've had for quite a while, and I got them originally from Journal Say. They're not available at Journal Say anymore. I did check. So I think there's somebody on Etsy that is still selling them. So I'll pop the links down. And I'm going to be using these throughout the setup just to add a little bit of decoration or to form separations or borders as needed. I just wanted something to tart up this blank space at the top, really. So I didn't really have like a super structured plan going in. I knew I had the columns. I kind of knew I wanted the girls on either side. And then it was just a case of filling in the spaces around the calendar. And you'll often find this, like, if you're doing creative planning and decorating in your journal, then you'll probably want to do like your functional spaces first and then work the decorations around them. And you can do it the other way around as well. It just depends. So I'm inking in the date for each day of the month with my gold gel pen. And you probably noticed I've got an extra day there at the very top. I accidentally started the week on Friday instead of Saturday. So I've just put 31 for that to represent the last day of the month because it was still July when I was making this setup. So there you go. You can see the reflective elements on the girls from the PET tape and also that jeweled chain. And then we'll just tidy up the edges. And I'm going in, this is going to be my trackers spread. So I'm using my Jinhao retractable fountain pen again to just draw the borders for this large table tracker that I always use. Yes, it's probably a bit boring, but it's very functional. This is what works for me. This is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? it's a very accessible format because you can use this style of table tracker for anything. You know, I'm using the top boxes as a graph to represent my fatigue levels, and the large bottom box is going to be the habit tracker. So for each line, I'll put whatever I want to track, whether that's, for me, it's usually medication, meditation, any therapies I'm having in the week, and things like skincare. What else do I do? Yeah, you could put anything there. If you were able to exercise, you could put like a little exercise tracker there, and you basically just do a little dot under the date just to represent that you've done the activity. And it just helps keep you accountable and helps keep track. Talking about staying on track, back onto the decorations. I decided I wanted these windows to just have white behind them and not show the washi tape that's along the side. So I've just stuck a piece of paper on the back of that window sticker, and I'll do the same with the other one when I pop that one up. But this box on the side is going to be a little content tracker. So this is somewhere where I can keep track of any videos that I'm making or I want to make, any ideas. Hopefully I'll be able to stay on schedule this month. We'll just have to see how we go. And I'm using, again, that green mild liner just to do a second line highlight along that box and also along my habit tracker. And these second line highlights, particularly in a big table like this, really help you stay on the line, and as the month goes on, help you kind of navigate across that you're on the correct line and you're not going on the wonk. They improve legibility greatly. So it's time for the title again for our little trackers spread. So I'm using my stamps, working at the spacing, and using my gold gel pen just to fill everything in, give it a little bit of sparkle. And I do afterwards revert back to using a gold ink pad because I was having trouble. It's, again, like I said, it's very hot here, so the ink was drying quite quickly. I think I was having a bit of a problem with keeping the ink wet as I was doing all the letters. So went back to my gold ink stamp pad and then just went over the letters just so that I'd already done, so it all matches. And I'm introducing these very small gold letter stickers that were from Journal Say, just to add my little subheaders for each of the boxes, I guess is the right word. And yeah, these were mixed reviews on these stickers. They look great when they're down, but they're just a little bit fiddly. I have used them before, but it didn't help as well that I'd lost my tweezers at this point, so I was having to use my craft knife. So we're just finishing off with a few more stickers from that tape. I've cut all the individual elements out, and again, as you can see, I put a piece of paper behind the top window on the right hand side just so that it wasn't going to be interfered with by the washi tape. And I'm finishing off with a little box down the bottom, and that's just going to be for my tasks this month. So basically I had the space at the bottom and decided, yeah, I'll put a task bar there rather than more decoration. And I'm introducing this peachy toned mild liner that came with the same set as the green, just to do a second line highlight across that bottom box because I didn't want it was starting to look very green, so I thought that would be a nice element. And then the too much gene kicked in, and I wanted to use one of these kind of edging corner decorations across the top of the title. So I'm just kind of working out where I want to put everything. This window sticker was in the wrong place for the corner pieces to look nice and balanced, so I just moved it across. And then I'm just cutting out some more of these green toned gel chain sticker things just to finish across the top. So now it looks really busy, but it does look very nice, and it really does catch the light. All of those stickers have like a gold hologram effect, so it looks quite stunning when they when you turn the page or when you lift the book up. And we're on to our next spread. This is an extra spread, and it's for a mood tracker and for a notes page. So I decided I wanted a similar effect as the previous pages, but not exactly the same. Plus, I have only got a limited amount of this green washi tape, so I decided to trim it in half and put 2 smaller columns along each side. And I'm using my stamps just to stamp the word mood. I didn't write tracker. And then I was trying to work out what I could do for my mood tracker because I wanted it to reflect the style. So I found these stamps. These are the Our Stories stamp set from Notebook Therapy. And I found this like Cameo stamp. I kind of thought, oh, maybe I can use that for my mood tracker. So I am drawing a grid with my gold gel pen. And as you know, gel pens do tend to take a little bit longer to dry than other ink pens. So I'm just going to be drawing the horizontal lines on this page, and then I'm going to nip over to the notes page and work on that side whilst the gel pen is drying. And this is I think it's a 07 point on the gel pen, but I'm drawing a thicker line by just drawing straight down the ruler and then moving my pen like a millimeter at an angle and then drawing again, as you can see. So I go up and down a few times and it makes the line thicker as we're drawing this box. So this is where I'm just going to be kind of making any notes of anything throughout the month. The first entry is usually what fountain pens I'm using this month and what ink I have in them, because I do like to keep a track of that. And it's not enough information really to add it to a tracker or a habit tracker or anything like that. So now this side is dry. We can go ahead and finish off this grid. So yeah, I was struggling with an idea for the mood tracker, and I mean, we're a little bit into the month now, so I have been using it for a few days, and it isn't as successful as I was hoping, spoiler alert. But my idea was to use this Cameo, which is like a profile of a lady. It almost looks like an elongated coin. And I thought I could draw like an expression for each day on her face. And yeah, like in principle, this was a great idea, and it was, you know, I'll toot my own horn. It was quite creative using what I've got. But in reality, it hasn't really worked. So I'm using this stamp and I'm trying to use the gradient that's on this ink pad, which I got it from my latest AliExpress haul. So I wanted it to like go from light green to dark green. And yes, the idea was to draw an expression on her face each day. And I tried for 5 days, and it just looks so stupid. Like, it doesn't, because she's too small, so you can't get the expression on her face right, and it just looks really gormy and weird. It doesn't look as elegant as I was hoping to match in with the theme. It's really bad. So I'm going to have to rethink that. I will, when I've decided what to do, I'll probably just put it up as a short or some photographs or something. Another downside of using stamps with an ink pad is sometimes you get an imprint of the edge of the stamp. So I'm using my Tipex fluid corrector just to go around and correct any parts of the stamps that came through that I didn't want to be there. So that's what that's for. And then just finishing off with a very quick second line highlight with that peachy tone pen. So yeah, although the mood tracker doesn't work brilliantly, it's not very functional, overall this spread turned out quite nice. I love these girl stickers elements from this washi tape. I don't know if the tape would work as well if you were just keeping it whole and not cutting it up, but it's beautiful in its individual elements. There was some writing on the tape, which I don't know why they put random writing on, I guess for scrapbooking, but yeah, I didn't use any of it. I think one part I used for the writing that has Mucha on it, and that's about it. Anyway, I digress. We're on to the weeklies. Yay! So again, I think I fall foul of turning 2 pages at the same time, and I haven't realised it yet. But for this weekly, we're using what Erin Smith calls the Ruthie layout. So this is where you have 6 boxes per page to give you 12 in total. And it means that you can decorate. It's almost every other box. And I started off using a full piece of washi on each corner. I was going to use it as a background for like a little mini collage, and then realized very quickly that I am running out of this tape. So I've halved each of those washi sections, and I'm going to be quite sparing with that washi tape now because I need to stretch it so that it lasts the entire spread. I was being quite brave and aiming to complete all of the weeklies in one go, which was pretty good for me, really. It was very, very tiring doing this all together, but it did work out quite nicely. So what can we talk about? I've used a sticker set from Mochibujo, or rather her shop is Ikigai Papir. That's the butterflies and the goddess down in the bottom left-hand corner. They fit quite well because she based the designs off a Mucha kind of inspiration. And I'm just popping a few elements of decorations. These circle stickers are also from Ikigai Papir, which I have realised that, yes, I stuck 2 pages together, oops, and I was going to need those the first week of the month of the numbers to go here. So I've just flipped over and I'm working on, this is going to be the first weekly. There's a lot of backwards and forwards thing going on during this setup. I think you can tell I was tired. So I'm using these gem stickers that I've cut out from that sticker sheet, and I'm making almost like a beaded curtain effect. I thought it would be quite a nice frame, and I've got quite a few of these sticker sheets, so I thought, you know, use those and save the William Morris style washi. And you can't see, but I have quadranted each page into 4. So this is going to be one of those layouts where you get your boxes for each day of the week and then an extra box for notes or tasks or to do or whatever you want to use it for. So I'm adding second line highlights to each of the boxes, and I've got this kind of grid pattern going with the green and the peach tone mild liners. And then once I've got all the second line highlights done, as if by magic, I'm going to pop down some of those stickers. So there you go, there's one sticker with some writing on, a frame with Mucha. And then I'm scattering a few of the butterfly stickers around using those little gold lettering alphabet stickers for each day of the month. And I decided that I wanted to just have the first 3 letters of each day, because basically these stickers were a faff and I couldn't be bothered to do the full names of each month. And now here I am using those circle stickers from Ikigai Papir in their correct places, because this is the correct first weekly. And yeah, these stickers are so versatile. I use so many of Mucha stickers. They are really, really functional and beautiful as well. And I'm using that stamping kit from AliExpress, the floral set. We've turned back over, so this will be the second week of the month, second weekly of the month. And I'm just adding a few second line highlights, just dotted around, just to fill out a little bit of this empty space and also help with legibility as you're writing for each day of the month. And then I'm finishing off with the correct number stickers for each day. So yeah, it's a relatively simple layout, I think, but it can look really effective. These stamps came in really handy because they really helped fill in the spaces. And we're turning over. And for the last spread, it's me just checking that I have only turned one page. I wanted to go back to a layout that I used on the very first monthly, January, and this is the 2 weekly layout that I think works perfectly for this square journal. It's just ideal. So we're adding a little bar of the remaining washi tape. As you can see, I'm having to cobble together what I've got left and then just neaten it off. And we're going to have 1 week along the top row and 1 week along the bottom row. So this means that we are working in vertical spaces with our entries, and I do prefer that, I think, to horizontal. Both are good, but yeah, it works really well with this layout, and it does mean that because of the size of the journal, you can get 2 weeks on one page, which is very, very rare, and still have lots of space for decorations and writing your entries. So I'm using the jewel chain garland, I don't know what you want to call them, these stickers as separators this time. So they're going to just indicate where each day starts and ends, or the edges of the layouts. And I'm just working out which ones I want where before I start sticking everything down. And I didn't want them running over the top of the washi tape. I wanted them almost as if they're coming from behind or hanging from the top and hanging from the bottom, like garlands again. So we'll stick those down, try and get them straight. Some were more successful than others. And then once that's done, we can start putting the initials for each day of the month. So yeah, when you think about it, like I haven't really used a huge amount of elements for this layout. It's relatively simple, you know, it's just the Morris style washi, the Mucha inspired PET tape, some stickers from Ikigai Papir, the gold, alphabet stickers, and the chain, the green chain style holographic sticker sheets. So it came together pretty well. Very pleased. And yeah, because, you know, we've got all these decorations separating, I didn't want to add second line highlights. I just add a little sticker down this bottom corner because I don't need a notes for this week, and use one of the stamps. And that's it. That's the layout pretty much done, other than just putting the numbers for each day on each day, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm super pleased with how this turned out. And I probably say that every month, and I usually do mean it, because if I don't like the layout, I'm not going to go ahead with it. I'd just scrap it. But yeah, I'm really chuffed with it. It looks so pretty. And it's like a bit unusual for me because I don't really use a lot of florals. But I think it's just right, it's just enough. So finish off with a couple of corner pieces. And this time I'm actually remembered to show using my tabs. So this is a sticky tab sheet from, I think it's 2024. This was from Under the Rowan Trees. She still has lots in stock. They are at a huge discount. And I just bought a couple of sheets and trimmed them down to use them as tabs in my bullet journal and also in my reading journal, if I ever get around to updating my reading journal. So I'm just going through, looking at what stickers I've got left and seeing if anything needs a little bit of extra something, just to finish everything off. So yeah, I ended up using all of the Morris tape, and I still have some of the jewel garlands left. And we'll just have our little final flip through. So yeah, look, it's gorgeous. I'm really, really pleased with it. And I am looking forward to using it. I've been using it a little bit this week. We're in the first week still. And it's serving me well. I will rethink the mood tracker. But yeah, really pleased. So what do you think? Do you think it's a nice spread? Would you like this kind of theme in your bullet journal? Let me know. And other than that, all that is left to say is to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope it inspired you or just brought you some joy and comfort watching the video. Hope I didn't talk your head off too much. And please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share the video if you think someone will appreciate it. And I hope you are all having an absolutely lovely day. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.